The courtroom was packed. Lawyers whispered to each other. Reporters held their pens tight, waiting for something big. The judge looked tired, flipping through case files. But then, something happened. A 17-year-old girl stood up. She was wearing a plain blue dress. Her hair was tied back. Her voice trembled, but her eyes didn't. She pointed at a man sitting across the room, a man in a black suit with cold eyes, and then she said it, loud, clear, fearless. "You're my father." The courtroom froze. Silence. Complete silence. Even the judge stopped flipping papers. The man in the black suit, Arjun Malhotra, stared at the girl. His lips parted, but no words came out. Anya's quiet world. Her name was Anya. She had grown up in a small town, raised by her mother, Mira. They lived in a rented, one-room flat. Life was simple and full of struggle. Anya had never seen her father. When she was 5, she asked Mira, "Where's my dad?" Mira always gave the same answer. "He's not part of our story." But that answer never felt enough. At school, when other children brought their fathers to events, Anya would sit alone, pretending not to care. But inside, she always wondered. Why didn't he want me? Was I not enough? The hidden photograph. When Anya turned 17, Mira fell sick. One night after making tea, Anya opened her mother's old trunk to find a blanket. But what she found instead was a photograph. It was old and slightly torn. A man in a suit was standing beside Mira, and Mira was clearly pregnant. The man looked serious, rich, important. On the back of the photo, a name was written in Mira's handwriting, Arjun Malhotra. Anya felt something deep inside her shift. She stared at that name for a long time. Why would she hide this? Is this my father? She took the photo to her mother the next morning. The truth behind closed doors, Mira was lying in bed, too weak to move. Anya held up the photo and asked gently, "Is this him?" Mira's eyes filled with tears. She nodded slowly. Anya sat on the edge of the bed, holding her mother's hand. "Why didn't you tell me?" Mira looked away. "Because I didn't want you to be hurt like I was." She told Anya everything. Years ago, Mira had worked as a receptionist in a big office in Mumbai. She met Arjun there. He was kind, confident, and charming. They spent a few months together. But when Mira became pregnant, everything changed. Arjun's family, powerful and proud, refused to accept her. They gave her money to disappear. Mira refused the money. She left with her unborn child and never looked back. "I didn't want you growing up with pain," she whispered. "But now, maybe." You need the truth. The decision. Anya couldn't sleep that night. She stared at the ceiling and thought again and again. He never even tried to find me. But he should know I exist. He should see what he left behind. The next day, she packed her bag, kissed her mother's forehead, and took a bus to the city. She had only the photograph, the name, and a small notebook where she wrote her dreams. The first meeting, it wasn't hard to find Arjun Malhotra. He was a famous businessman. His face was in newspapers. He lived in a giant bungalow behind steel gates and security guards. Anya stood outside his building for 2 days, holding the photo in her hand. On the 3rd day, she got lucky. A black car pulled up. Arjun stepped out. Anya walked up, heart pounding. She stood in front of him and said, "I think I'm your daughter." Arjun stared at her, confused and angry. "Who are you?" he snapped. She showed him the photograph. For 1 second, just one, his face changed. A flicker of recognition. Then he waved her away. "This is a mistake. Go home." And he walked inside. The fire. Inside. Her Anya stood there, frozen. She had traveled so far. She had faced her fears, but he didn't even care. Tears filled her eyes, but her heart grew stronger. I'm not going home until the world knows the truth. She went to a legal office, told them everything. Most turned her away. But one kind lawyer, Mr. Rajiv, listened. He saw the photo. He saw Anya's fire, and he said, "If this is true, we'll prove it in court." Back to the courtroom, and that's how Anya ended up here, standing in the courtroom, pointing at a man who tried to pretend she didn't exist. "You're my father," the reporters gasped. Arjun looked shocked, maybe even scared. The judge asked for silence, but the silence wasn't from fear. It was from respect, because a girl had done what even grown adults fail to do. She refused to stay silent. The courtroom scene still echoed in Anya's mind. "You're my father." Those words had left her lips, but they still hung heavy in the air. Outside the courtroom, reporters chased her with questions, but Anya didn't stop. She rushed home, to the one person who had always told her the truth, even when it hurt. Her mother. Anya's return Mira was lying on the small hospital bed, her face pale but calm. When Anya entered, she looked at her daughter with worried eyes. "You went to him, didn't you?" Mira whispered. Anya sat beside her, holding her hand. "Yes, Ma. I stood in court and told him." Mira's hand trembled slightly. "What did he say?" "He didn't say anything. He just looked at me, like I was a stranger." Mira looked away. Tears filled her eyes and her lips began to tremble. "I never wanted you to face this pain. That's why I stayed silent. But maybe I was wrong." The hidden past, Anya gently wiped her mother's tears and said, "Please, Ma, tell me everything. I want to know who he really is. What happened?" Mira took a deep breath. Her voice was weak, but her words were strong. "I met Arjun when I was 21. I was working in his office as a receptionist. He was handsome, powerful, and kind. At first he used to say hello and smile. Then one day he invited me for tea." Anya listened carefully, her eyes never blinking. "We started talking, then seeing each other secretly. He didn't want his family to know. I thought it was because of love, but it was shame. He was ashamed of me. When I found out I was pregnant, I told him. He changed. He didn't shout. He didn't hit. But he became cold." The threat Mira coughed. Anya poured her water and gently helped her drink. "He didn't want the baby. He said his family would never accept me. They called me a liar, a gold digger. They said they'd ruin me if I didn't go away. One day, a man from his family gave me an envelope full of money. He said, 'Take this and disappear.' But I didn't want their money. I only wanted you to grow up in peace. So I left the city. I erased him from our lives. I promised myself I'd raise you without ever letting you feel unwanted." Anya's hands turned into fists. "So they paid you to go away. And now they're pretending I don't exist." Mira looked at her daughter. "You're brave. Much braver than I ever was." The picture was proof, but not enough. The photograph had started everything. It showed Arjun standing with Mira, his hand on her shoulder. It was taken the day Mira told him about her pregnancy, a moment frozen in time. But now, Anya knew she needed more. She needed legal proof. The courts wouldn't accept only a photo and a story. That's when she remembered what the lawyer, Mr. Rajiv, had said earlier. A DNA test. That's the only way to prove the truth. The test that could change everything. The next day, Anya returned to Mr. Rajiv's office. He welcomed her with a warm smile. "You made a strong start," he said. "Now we need to move fast." Anya gave a blood sample. Rajiv sent a legal notice to Arjun Malhotra, demanding he do the same. At first, Arjun's lawyers refused. But when the case got media attention, things changed. Now everyone was watching. Every news channel, every article. Arjun couldn't hide anymore. Arjun's reaction in his giant office. Arjun sat with a glass of whiskey. He stared at the photo of the young girl from the courtroom. Something about her face. Something in her eyes. It felt familiar. It felt like guilt. His wife, Priya, stood by the door. "Is it true?" she asked quietly. Arjun didn't answer. "She looks like you," Priya added. Still, no reply. The day of the test at the hospital, Anya sat on one side of the room. Arjun entered with dark glasses and a lawyer beside him. He didn't look at her, but Anya looked at him, not with hate, but with strength. Both gave their samples. No words were exchanged. Outside, reporters waited again. One of them shouted, "Arjun, sir, is she your daughter?" He didn't respond, but the silence was louder than words. Anya's mother, her strength. That evening, Anya returned to the hospital. Her mother's condition had worsened. Machines beeped around her, but her mind was still sharp. "I did it, Ma," Anya whispered. "He gave his sample. We'll get the results soon." Mira smiled weakly. "I'm proud of you. No matter what happens, you've already won." Anya held her hand tight. "You'll be there when I win in court, I promise." Mira looked into her daughter's eyes. "Even if I'm not, I'll always be proud. Because you're not just my daughter, you're my courage." The wait begins. The next morning, the lab called Mr. Rajiv. The DNA results would arrive in 48 hours. Anya sat at home, staring at the wall. Every second felt like an hour. Every hour felt like a year. Will this prove what I already know in my heart? She didn't just want to win, she wanted to be seen, to be acknowledged, to be accepted. The sun was rising, but Anya had not slept. She sat on the edge of the hospital bed, gently holding her mother's hand. Mira was breathing softly, tubes running from her nose. Her body was weak, but her spirit, Anya knew, was still strong. Today was the day the DNA test results would arrive. Anya looked at her phone again and again, waiting for Mr. Rajiv's call. Her heart beat faster with every second. "Please, let this be over." The call that shook everything. At exactly 10:12 a.m., her phone rang. It was Mr. Rajiv. "Anya," he said calmly, "the results are in. You were right." Anya couldn't breathe for a moment. "What do you mean?" she whispered. "The DNA is a match. Arjun Malhotra is your biological father." Tears filled Anya's eyes. She looked at her mother and smiled through the pain. "We did it, Ma. We proved it." But deep inside, a new question was rising. Will he accept the truth? Or still turn away? The breaking news within hours. The news spread. Business tycoon Arjun Malhotra, named in shocking paternity case. DNA confirms teen girl's claim. Malhotra's hidden daughter exposed. TV channels ran non-stop reports. Social media was on fire. People demanded answers, but Arjun remained silent. He stayed locked in his mansion behind guarded gates. Inside Arjun's house, Arjun stood in his study, watching the news. His face was pale. His hands shook slightly as he held the DNA report. His wife, Priya, stood behind him. "So it's true," she said. "She's your daughter." Arjun didn't speak. Priya's voice grew colder. "You hid this from me for 17 years. From everyone." He turned to her. "It was a mistake. I thought it was over." "You didn't make a mistake. You made a life." And then left her. Priya walked away, leaving Arjun with nothing but the sound of silence. Court preparation. Begins. Mr. Rajiv met with Anya later that day. "Now that we have proof," he said, "we'll take the next step. What is that? Anya asked. We'll demand official recognition. He must legally accept you as his daughter. Anya nodded. And if he doesn't? Then the court will make him. An unexpected visitor. That evening, someone knocked. On Anya's door, a woman stood outside. She was in her mid-30s, wearing a simple sari, holding her purse tightly. Are you Anya? She asked softly. Yes. Who are you? My name is Nisha. I used to work in the Malhotra house. As a maid? Anya was confused. Why are you here? Nisha looked down. Because I know something you don't. Something about your mother, about what happened years ago. Anya's heart skipped a beat. What do you mean? Can I come in? The secret witness, Nisha, sat down quietly. She looked nervous but determined. 17 years ago, your mother came to the Malhotra house. She was crying. She begged Arjun to meet her. She said she was pregnant. I was cleaning the hallway. I heard everything. Arjun told her to leave. His father slapped her. His mother insulted her. Then they called someone to throw her out. Anya's eyes filled with tears. Nisha continued. I followed her outside. I gave her some water. She said, my baby will never know this pain. And she walked away. I never saw her again, but I never forgot. When I saw your face on TV, I knew I had to speak up. Hope. Through a stranger, Anya hugged Nisha tightly. Thank you. You didn't have to come. Yes, I did, Nisha said. The truth needs witnesses. Mr. Rajiv arranged for Nisha to give her statement under oath. Now the case was stronger than ever. Arjun is called to court. A court letter was sent to Arjun. He had 10 days to respond. If he refused, the court would rule in Anya's favor. But instead of answering, Arjun disappeared. No one saw him for a week. Reporters waited outside his mansion. His office was locked. Even his family refused to talk. Then, on the 10th day, his lawyer appeared. He handed a file to the court clerk. Mr. Arjun Malhotra refuses to recognize Anya as his daughter. He will not respond to questions. Gasps filled the courtroom. The girl who refused to be erased. Anya stood in the courtroom. She held the DNA report in one hand, Nisha's written statement in the other. She turned to the judge and said, he can hide behind silence. But the truth doesn't disappear just because someone is afraid of it. The judge nodded. You've shown courage and proof. The court will continue this case. Anya sat outside the courtroom with Mr. Rajiv and Nisha beside her. Her hands trembled slightly as she held the papers again. The DNA report, the witness statement, her mother's hospital bill. The truth was already there. But Arjun Malhotra's silence was louder than her evidence. The judge had called for one final hearing. Today, the court would decide if Anya's identity would finally be accepted, or if she would remain a forgotten name. The courtroom filled with eyes. The room was full. Every seat was taken. News reporters sat with notepads. Cameras waited outside. Social media was watching every move. Anya stood at the front wearing a simple dress, her hair tied back. She didn't want to look weak. She wanted to look like her mother's daughter, brave, calm, honest. The judge entered. Call Mr. Arjun Malhotra, the clerk announced. Everyone turned toward the door. Arjun arrives. The door opened slowly. Arjun entered the courtroom. No sunglasses this time. No lawyers beside him. He walked straight, but his face looked older than before, like he hadn't slept in days. He took the witness chair without saying a word. The judge looked at him. Mr. Malhotra, you've seen the DNA report. Do you still deny this girl is your daughter? Arjun didn't reply. The judge asked again. Anya's heart pounded. This was it. Would he speak? The break in his voice. Finally, Arjun took a deep breath. His voice was low, almost a whisper. I didn't want to believe it, he said, because believing it meant facing my past. Everyone in the courtroom went silent. I met her mother many years ago. She was kind, gentle. She had dreams I crushed with my cowardice. He looked down. When she told me she was pregnant, I didn't stand beside her. I stood behind my fear. I let my parents insult her. I let her walk away. He turned slightly, his eyes finding Anya's. And now, I see what she raised. A strong, honest girl. Anya's tears fall. Anya couldn't stop her tears. This was the first time. He was speaking like a father, even if late. The words still mattered. But then Arjun added something no one expected. I didn't come here to fight. I came to surrender. I accept her. Not because the court says so, but because I know in my heart she is mine. Gasps around the room. The reporters wrote quickly. The judge leaned forward. So you legally accept her as your biological daughter? Yes, Arjun said. I do, the court whispered with shock. But Anya felt nothing but peace. A woman walks in. Late, just as the judge began speaking again, the courtroom door opened. A woman walked in, tall, proud, and cold. It was Priya Malhotra, Arjun's wife. She looked straight at Anya. You may be his blood, she said loudly, but you will never be part of this family. The judge hit the gavel. Silence in court! But Priya continued. Do you know what this girl means for us? For our name? For our future? Arjun stood. Enough, Priya. No, it's not enough. This girl will break us. Anya speaks. Calmly, Anya looked at Priya, her voice clear but soft. I don't want your money. I don't want your house. I only wanted my truth, my name. And I got it. Priya stared at her for a moment, then turned and stormed out of the courtroom. The judge's final words, the judge nodded. This court accepts Arjun Malhotra's legal admission. From this day forward, Anya Mira Malhotra is recognized as his daughter, with full legal rights. The truth has spoken. Outside, the court reporters crowded Anya as she stepped outside. How do you feel? What will you do next? Will you join the Malhotra family? Anya looked at the cameras. I don't need to join anyone. I've always had a family. My mother gave me everything. I came for my name. I got it. That's enough. She walked past the flashing cameras, free, strong, and calm. A father's regret. Back in his car, Arjun sat alone. He looked at a photo of Anya, taken from the courtroom. He whispered, 17 years. I missed it all. I can't fix the past. But maybe she'll let me be part of her future. But Anya wasn't thinking about that yet. She was already running toward the hospital. Her mother was waiting. Anya ran through the hospital hallway, her feet hitting the floor fast. People moved aside as she passed. She didn't stop for anyone. Not for water, not for rest. In her hand, she held the court papers, the proof, the name she had fought for. Anya Mira Malhotra. The room was too quiet. When she entered her mother's hospital room, she paused. The machines were still beeping, but softer than before. Mira was lying there, eyes closed, looking weaker than yesterday. Her skin was pale, lips dry. Nurse Suman stood beside her. She's been sleeping for hours, the nurse said softly. She's been calling your name in her sleep. Anya stepped forward. She sat beside the bed and held her mother's hand. Ma, I did it. I told them, and he said it, in court. He said I am his daughter. It's over now, Ma. We can breathe again. Suddenly, Mira's fingers moved. A weak voice breaks the silence. Mira's eyes slowly opened. She looked around, confused. Then her eyes found Anya's face. Anya, she whispered. Yes, Ma. I'm here. Tears filled Mira's eyes. You did it? Yes, it's official now. The world knows. Everyone knows. He accepted you? She asked, voice cracking. Yes, Ma. He did. Mira gave a soft smile, one that came from deep inside her heart. Then she asked in a whisper, Is it over? Anya gently touched her forehead. Yes, Ma. It's over. You can rest now. But then, the alarms begin. Suddenly, the machine beside the bed beeped loud, then faster. Nurse Suman rushed over. Doctor! Call the doctor now! Anya froze. Her heart started racing again. What's happening? Suman didn't answer. She was pressing buttons. Doctors ran in. Blood pressure dropping. She's going into cardiac arrest. Start CPR. Anya stepped back, hands over her mouth. Ma, please don't go. Ma! She was pulled out of the room by another nurse as doctors tried to save Mira. Waiting outside with shaking hands, minutes felt like hours. Anya sat on the bench outside, crying silently. Mr. Rajiv came and sat beside her. She waited for this day, he said. She held on long enough to see you win. Anya looked at him. But I didn't fight just to lose her. A sudden silence. The door opened. A doctor stepped out, serious and quiet. Anya stood up immediately. Doctor. The doctor took a slow breath. She's alive, but barely. Her heart stopped for a few seconds, but we brought her back. She's unconscious now. We don't know when she'll wake up again. But she's still fighting. Anya burst into tears. Thank you. Thank you. The hospital bill hits. Hard later that evening, Anya was called to the office. An old man in glasses handed her a bill. This is for the last 3 days. She looked at the numbers. It was too much, way more than she had. Sir, I don't have this kind of money. Then you'll need to arrange it soon. We can't keep the patient in ICU without payment. Her chest tightened. She had won her father's name, but she still didn't have his help. Not really. She stood outside his mansion. That night, Anya stood outside the tall iron gates of Arjun Malhotra's mansion. She looked up at the huge house. She held the hospital bill in her hand. She rang the bell. A guard came to the gate. Yes? Tell Mr. Arjun Malhotra his daughter is here. The guard didn't answer, just made a call. Moments later, the gate opened. Anya walked in, face to face with the past. Again, Arjun met her at the door. He looked surprised, but not unkind. Anya? I didn't come here for a fight, she said. I came because my mother is dying, and I can't afford to save her. She showed him the bill. I didn't ask you for anything before, but now I'm asking. Help me save the woman who raised your child. Arjun's silence meant everything. He took the bill, read it slowly, then nodded. I'll take care of it. Anya felt something she hadn't felt before. Relief. She nodded once. Thank you. Back at the hospital, the payment was made within hours. Doctors moved Mira to a private ICU room. Anya sat beside her again, holding her hand. Stay with me, Ma. Just a little longer. Then, Mira's fingers moved again. She whispered something. Anya leaned closer. What, Ma? Her mother's lips moved slowly. Tell her the truth. Anya froze. Tell who? What truth? But Mira slipped back into sleep. The hospital room was quiet. Anya sat beside her mother, gently wiping her face with a damp cloth. Machines beeped softly, measuring every heartbeat, every breath. Mira had whispered something just before falling, back into sleep. Tell her the truth. But who was her? And what was the truth? Anya couldn't stop thinking about those words. A box from the past. That evening, Nurse Suman walked into the room holding an old cardboard box. "Your mother's things," she said, "from her locker." Anya placed it on the nearby chair. Inside were some clothes, a framed photo of Anya as a child, and a small blue box wrapped in cloth and tied with string. It was old. The corners were worn. Anya slowly untied the string and opened it. Inside was a letter, folded carefully, yellowed with time. On the front it said, "To Anya, only open if I'm gone." Her hands shook, but her heart told her. This was the truth her mother wanted her to know. She couldn't wait. Even though the letter said to open it if Mira was gone, Anya knew she needed to read it now. She gently unfolded it. The handwriting was neat. Every word full of emotion. "My dearest Anya, if you're reading this, it means I'm no longer there to hold your hand, but I hope I gave you enough strength to walk on your own. I have to tell you something, a truth I kept buried in my heart for years. I loved your father, Arjun, truly, but you were born because of pain, not love." Anya's eyes widened. Her heart stopped for a second. A mother's secret. That night when I told Arjun I was pregnant, he didn't just leave. He said I was lying. He said the baby couldn't be his. But the truth is, there was another man. He was a doctor I worked with. He was kind, supportive. I made a mistake. One night when I was broken and confused. I never told you because I wanted you to grow with pride, not shame. I named Arjun as your father because I believed he should have been. But now, I don't know. Anya sat frozen. Maybe the DNA test told one truth. But the truth of the heart? That's something only you can decide. I only know this, Anya. You are not a mistake. You are the best thing that ever happened to me. Tears rolled down her face as she reached the end. I hope you forgive me. I hope you find peace, and no matter what happens, always walk in truth. Love, Ma. Her world shakes again. Anya couldn't believe it. All this time, she had fought to get Arjun to accept her. But what if he wasn't her real father? What if the truth was more complicated? She looked at the DNA report again. Is it even accurate? She whispered. What if it was forged? She remembered that Arjun had brought his own lawyer for the test. She never saw the sample process herself. Doubt started to creep in. A decision to make. She took the letter and walked to the nurse's counter. Nurse Suman, do you know who my mother worked with? Years ago? Suman nodded. Yes, Dr. Vivek, they were close. He left this hospital around 18 years ago. Do you know where I can find him? Suman hesitated. I think he has a private clinic now. I can try to get the address. Anya thanked her and returned to the room. Her mind was full of questions. She looked at her mother's face. Calm, peaceful. You carried all this alone, Ma, for so long. Back at the mansion that night, Arjun called her. How's your mother? Still unconscious, she replied quietly. I've arranged for the best doctor to check her tomorrow, he added. If there's anything else you need. She took a deep breath. Arjun, why did you agree to the DNA test so quickly? There was silence on the phone. Because I already knew the truth. Did you choose the lab? Yes. Did you see the sample taken? No. The lawyer handled it. Her chest tightened. I need to go now, she said, ending the call. The truth had opened one door, but closed another. The silent room back in the hospital, Anya sat beside her mother again. She looked at the photo on the wall, the one of them smiling on a hilltop picnic years ago. I thought the hard part was over, she whispered. But maybe the real journey is just beginning. Then she looked at the letter again, at the name her mother hadn't spoken aloud. Dr. Vivek. The morning sunlight peeked through the hospital window, falling across Mira's sleeping face. Anya sat beside her, holding her mother's letter again. She had read it 10 times. Each word still hit her heart like a storm. Dr. Vivek. Was he really my father? Her heart was full of confusion. She had just won the court battle. She had Arjun Malhotra's name on her birth certificate now. The world saw her as his daughter. But what if it wasn't the truth? She traveled alone. With her mother still unconscious, Anya left the hospital and boarded a bus to the address Nurse Suman had given her. It was 2 towns away, a small private clinic. She had no plan, only the letter in her purse and 1,000 thoughts in her mind. She stared out of the window the entire journey. What if he doesn't remember my mother? What if he denies everything? What if he laughs? But she had to know. The clinic was small but clean. She stepped into the reception area. It was quiet. An older nurse looked up. Yes, Beta? I need to speak with Dr. Vivek. It's personal. The nurse studied her for a second, then nodded. Wait here. A few minutes later, a tall man in his early 60s stepped out. White coat. Gentle eyes. Tired but calm. He looked at Anya and paused. Can I help you? Anya's throat went dry. I'm Anya. Anya Mira Malhotra. His eyes flickered at the name Mira. She saw it. I think you knew my mother. He nodded, slowly. Yes. Mira. She was very special. Inside his office. They sat in a quiet room. Books filled the shelves. A photo of a young child was on the desk. Anya pulled out the letter and placed it on the table. She wrote this before she got too sick. Dr. Vivek picked up the letter and read silently. His face changed. Sadness, guilt, surprise all at once. When he finished, he looked at her. I always wondered if I had a daughter. Mira never told me. Not once. Anya's voice shook. I don't know if it's true. I had to find out. His voice was full of regret. Your mother. She was going through a terrible time back then. That night, we were both broken. She left the hospital soon after. I tried to call her, but she disappeared. I'm married, had a son, but I never stopped wondering. Anya swallowed hard. Do you want to know if I'm your daughter? He nodded slowly. Yes, if you want that too. Another DNA test. They went to a trusted lab in town. This time, Anya made sure the process was fair, clean, and watched. No lawyers, no pressure, no lies. Just a chance to find the truth. How will you feel? She asked him. If the test says yes? He smiled sadly. Then I will thank God for giving me another chance to be a father. Back at the hospital, 2 days passed. Anya returned to the hospital. Her mother still hadn't woken up. She sat at her bedside and whispered, Ma, I met him, Dr. Vivek. He remembered you. He might be my real father. You didn't lie. You just protected me. A tear slipped from Anya's eye and landed on her mother's hand. Suddenly, the hand twitched. Ma? She said softly. Mira's eyes blinked open. She turned her head, slowly, and looked at Anya. You found him? Anya nodded, smiling through tears. Yes, and I'm not angry. I love you, Ma. You were always enough. A call that changed everything. That evening, her phone rang. It was the lab. She answered with shaking hands. Hello? Yes, Miss Anya. We have the results of the DNA test with Dr. Vivek. She held her breath. He is 99.8% match. The phone almost slipped from her hand. Thank you, she whispered. Tears flowed again, not from pain this time, but clarity. She finally knew. She returned to Arjun's house. Anya stood at the same tall gates once more. She rang the bell. This time Arjun himself came out to greet her. Is everything all right? He asked. I came to tell you. The test was fake, wasn't it? He didn't answer. He just looked away. I know now, you're not my father. You never were, and you knew it too. But you accepted me in court because it was easier than a scandal. You wanted to look noble. He said nothing. It's okay, she said. I'm not here to fight. I just came to say thank you and goodbye. The sky outside the hospital window turned golden. Soft light filled the room as Mira slowly opened her eyes. She blinked a few times, weak but aware. Her lips trembled. Anya was there, holding her hand tightly. Ma, she whispered, her voice breaking. I read your letter. Mira looked into her daughter's eyes, and a tear slipped down her cheek. I'm sorry, she whispered. Anya shook her head, smiling through tears. No, you gave me love. You gave me truth. That's more than enough. Dr. Vivek stepped inside. He walked in slowly, unsure if he should be there. But Mira looked at him, and her face softened. Vivek. I never stopped thinking about you, he said gently. Or the child we might have created together. Mira closed her eyes for a moment, then nodded. She's everything we never imagined. She's our daughter. Anya moved closer, placing both hands on her mother's. We're all here now. That's what matters. One quiet morning. The next few days were full of care and small joys. Mira grew weaker, but her smile never faded. Dr. Vivek came every morning bringing flowers or soup. Anya read books aloud to her mother, just like Mira used to read bedtime. Stories when she was small. They didn't talk about court cases. They didn't talk about Arjun. All that mattered was this family, broken once, now healing. Anya's decision, one afternoon, Anya sat beside Dr. Vivek in the hospital garden. People still think I'm Arjun Malhotra's daughter, she said quietly. Do you want to change that? He asked. She thought for a moment. I want to change it in my heart first. She looked at him. If you want, we can build something. No titles, just moments. Dr. Vivek nodded, emotion in his eyes. That's all I ever wanted. A letter from Arjun that evening. A letter arrived at the hospital. It was from Arjun. Inside it said, Anya, I don't know if I ever deserved to be part of your life. I did lie. I used the DNA test to keep my reputation. But after watching you speak in court, I saw what kind of person you are. And I knew I had failed. You don't need my name to shine. I hope you find peace, and I hope your real father gives you the love I never could. Arjun Malhotra. Anya folded the letter and placed it in the same blue box her mother had hidden for years. She didn't hate Arjun, she just felt nothing now. The last morning on. A peaceful Sunday morning, the sky turned pink and gold. Anya sat beside Mira, who was resting with closed eyes. Dr. Vivek stood nearby, quietly holding Mira's hand. The sun rose, and the light touched Mira's face. She opened her eyes very slowly and smiled. My family, she whispered. Her breathing became lighter, softer. And then it stopped. Anya didn't scream. She just kissed her mother's forehead and whispered, Thank you for giving me life and truth. A goodbye. Full of love, the funeral was simple. Only close people attended. A few nurses, Dr. Vivek, Anya, no fancy names, no reporters, just quiet prayers and flowers. Anya placed the blue box on her mother's grave. Inside were the first photo they ever took together. The letter Mira wrote Arjun's final words and one new photo. Anya, smiling with Dr. Vivek under a tree. A new beginning. Months later, Anya stood in front of a small community library. She had started working there. Dr. Vivek visited often. They read together, talked, laughed. Sometimes they sat in silence and watched the sky. "What will you tell people if they ask who your father is?" he once asked. Anya smiled. "I'll say, he's someone who didn't give me his name, but gave me his heart."